Good evening, everybody, or morning, depending on when you are listening to this. But I'm Paul Dolsky, and I just wanted to let you know before we begin this interview with Bill Oberst Jr. and Billy Pon, also with Tristan Knott, because my fiance at the time, which you will hear in this interview, kind of sick, unfortunately. She still had like a flu going on, and I also wanted to point out that you might not hear Tristan and I talk that much because the idea of this was we surprised Bill Oberst Jr. with Billy Pon on here. He had no idea Billy would join in to talk about Circus of the Dead and Bill's upcoming film that releases today. As you are hearing this, it is entitled Dis. That is DIS, and it's available right now on Blu-ray DVD by Unearthed Films. So go check that out. It is very dark and artsy and very awesome at the same time. So without further ado, this is the uncut version of the natural flow that kicked off the interview with Billy and Bill just, catching up. And I like having to be something like this or do something like this because it is different. Because like I said, Bill Oberst had no idea Billy was gonna be on, so that was shocked him and surprised, and you will hear that. So I hope you guys enjoy. And this is the interview with Bill Oberst Jr. and Billy Pon. Enjoy.
Oh my God! I had no idea you were going to be on here, Billy. What a surprise! How are you, man?
It's a surprise for you. I miss you so much, buddy. I got to watch your movie last night, and I just see you and start crying. I just say, God, I miss Bill. I know the way you walk, the way you move, and all that. And I see it in the movie. I say, man, you must spend a lot of time shooting a movie. When I edit and all this kind of stuff, I just know every characteristic of everything you're going to do. It's so weird.
Oh man, that is so cool! I can't believe I'm talking to you. How you doing?
I was telling them I'm feeling good. I hope this treatment stuff's working because I couldn't even stand up to walk much a couple of months ago, and now I was actually chasing the grandkids around the backyard earlier today, so I'm feeling pretty darn good.
That's great, man. You don't look like you've lost a drop of weight. I think that's a good thing.
Yes, I did. I actually lost 85 pounds, if you can imagine that. But, I haven't seen you since. I haven't seen Bill since 2013.
I know.
But I see him every day. I can't get away from it. It's like people don't leave us alone about that stuff, will they?
Billy, I'm looking right now. I got this little popcorn figurine on my little table of mementos, and I've got 3 cards from fans who drew popcorn art. People love to draw these. Yeah. They love to draw these clowns.
They do, and they love popcorn so much. And there's so many fangirls that just ask all the time, "Can you give me Bill's number? Can you give me Bill's address?" I said, "No."
Well, they don't want to talk to Bill. They want to talk to popcorn. Yeah, and they need you to do that.
Well, that's Rusty. He had, him and Mariah. She was stalking him for a while, and now they live together here in Odessa and stuff. But I think the only time they make out is when he has to put the makeup on to do it. So that's what I hear. That's what I hear. So.
I love it, man. I love it. Guys, good to hear your voice. How you doing, Paul?
Oh, I'm good. How about you, Bill?
Good, man. Is Tessa there with you?
Yeah, I'm right here. I'm not doing so good, Bill.
Hey, Tessa.
Hey.
Yeah, she's not feeling so great, Bill. So she's gonna be skipping this one, unfortunately. But I do have a buddy to help me here. He's
Which I'm very sad about because I really wanted to do this.
Yeah, she got the snuffle pretty good, so
I'm sneezing my head off. So.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you feel better.
Thank you.
But yes, so Bill, so did that email reply that I sent you about if you could ask Billy Pon anything, so did you not? I was hoping you wouldn't get that ring a bell, like why is he asking me that? So I guess I did good.
Yeah, I wrote you back.
Yes, you did.
Yep.
I wrote one too, Bill. It said, I said, yes, please, Bill, don't press charges on the way I treated you during filming. That's what I put.
No, man, not at all. So, Paul, are you recording now, or do you start? Are you live, or how are we working?
Oh yeah, I've already been recording because I was trying to get your reaction to having Billy on here as the surprise. So I kind of hope I got some of it. So
well, hello everyone.
Well, hello, but Tristan is on mute, Bill. But Tristan here is a friend of mine who we work at the same exact job together. And he loves horror so much that I was just like, well, he's got to join the podcast family, and he's going to be helping me out tonight. So, Tristan, this is Bill Oberst, and yeah, Bill, this is Tristan.
How's it going,
Tristan?
Bill?
Pretty good, man.
Yeah. Did a great job in Circus of the Dead. Loved it.
Oh, thank you very much. It's all Billy Pon, 100%.
No, stop. It's the other way around, you guys.
Oh, man. So many times during that movie, I would ask Billy, why is he saying this? Why does he do this? What do I do? And every time, there's a picture online, actually, of Billy with both arms on my shoulders looking right down in my eyes. He did that a lot. And he completely helped me understand the character. Otherwise, I would have been lost. I would have played it like a clown. And Billy helped me play it more, like a serious person who actually had a day job as a clown.
Well, the thing I always say this too about Bill is like I don't, a lot of this business, everybody's nice and everybody's humble and stuff, but Bill's like a racehorse or a Porsche or a Lamborghini. It's like you don't want to get it and drive it to Sunday school. You want to get it out on the road and open that shit up. And it's like if you give him something. I mean,
that's exactly
that dude take it.
Man. Well, one of my memories of Circus of the Dead is standing in front of a convenience store somewhere outside of Odessa, Texas, in the middle of the night with earplugs in, walking across the parking lot dressed as Papa Corn, firing a shotgun. Yeah, we opened that shit up.
Yeah, so it's like go for broke because it's Bill's done a lot of stuff, and I was like, man, I have to raise the ante of it's like if you're gonna get Bill Oberst to be in your movie, then bring the shit and let's do some good stuff. So that's what it is, and he inspires me, actors like him and stuff that like it just makes you want to do more. It just wants me to keep doing what I'm doing because that's where the payoff is seeing somebody like him, take something and make it so great.
That's what fans. I think that's what fans want to see, and that's why they like you. That's why they like Doll Boy, and that's why I responded so well to Circus because they want to see something that's wide open. I always tell like independent filmmakers. It's your movie, man. Do something different and do something that's you. Don't waste it.
And that's how this was, I thought, too, because I watched that last night, and I thought, I dig this.
I'm glad you liked it, because Adrian, he just wanted to make that vision of hell that was in his head, and people were like, well, nobody's going to understand it. And he's like, I don't care. I want to make the movie. And I was like, yep, just like Billy Pon.
That's good. And it's there. I mean, it resonated with me, and it's just something that stuck with me, and I totally dug it like that. And all the crazy stuff you do in there, I said, oh, that's old Bill. He'll do that. You're not scared of anything for a role.
I hate it when I get a script, and we went off this one, and then you open it up, and it's like, a guy who drives a car and says some stuff. I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah, I just want to know, Bill, here's a good question, is out of all the 100 movies you've done, hundreds of movies you've done, how many roles actually had a penis in it? Was you and a penis in it? Like, can you count that on one hand, two hands, or how many films have you had penis play involved?
Well, they're all prosthetic, Billy, so it doesn't really count, right?
I kind of keep it hidden. I don't tell anybody that. Somebody goes, was that thing? They go, was that a penis fake that Bill's wearing? I go, it didn't taste very fake. But that's why I
oh, man. No,
that sits on my desk, Bill.
You got it on your desk?
Yeah, I got it above my thing. It's like up there on the wall like a trophy mount.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. No, man, never go full peen. Always get the help of the special effects department. They can always help you out there.
No.
Wow, that was a wild ride. But I was telling them too, the cinematography and stuff with the black and white flashback stuff and things. Oh my gosh, it was you in that car behind that window. I just like got goosebumps because it was so beautiful. Because that's a cool style, and it ain't me because I think I'm more of a junk filmmaker.
Yep.
But his vision and stuff was so artistically beautiful and stuff like that, but yet still equally as creepy with the pigs eating the bones and stuff, And I was like, oh, I just love this. I love it with the sound. It went from babies to pigs, and it just all started making sense.
I'm glad
it's something I couldn't do. I liked it.
I'm glad you like the pigs. Because people told him like people aren't going to understand that, but he's really into like symbolism and metaphor and stuff. So he didn't care. He just wanted it to make an impression on people. It's kind of like a nightmare. Like you wake up and you go, "What was that?"
It was good, and it has like no hold bars and stuff. And I was telling them, I said, "Freaking Bill in that left-handed gun thing," because I always say, it's like to me, it's like with the things on. It's like that's the thing. I said, I know exactly how Bill holds the gun and everything. I see all that. Like I know I've seen you hold the gun. I've seen you walk and all this kind of stuff. It's funny. It's just how when you direct. It's directors that see that detail, and I think that's why this is so good. It's just when a director pays attention to those things like that, it just all makes sense.
Man, I'll tell you. Since you asked about the penis thing, I'm gonna tell you because this is a funny story. Okay, that wheel in this, the people who are listening, as you'll see, and I'm not giving anything away. There's a sacrificial wheel that plays a part in it, and so this wheel was made by the chick who's the art director, and she's did a beautiful job, but she's a lot taller than I am. Okay. So they go to strap me on this puppy, and I'm stretched to the mat. I mean stretched. Okay, so and also a prosthetic penis plays into this because, well, people will see when they watch it why. So I got this thing, this rig, like strapped onto me. It's stretched out so much that the rig keeps slipping like and coming loose. So I got a PA behind me holding on to the end of this brace thing on the back out of frame. We're just praying that the prosthetic penis is going to stay up. And that's pretty much what this business boils down to. You just pray that the prosthetic penis is going to stay in place. It's about it, right, Billy?
It's totally it, and the thing Bill doesn't mention is Bill's brave. He's going to do it all. We on the Circus of the Dead, he broke into that window, and I was going to do it in 2 shots. But Bill being Bill, he says, no, I'm going to come in right when we throw that thing and break it. And we did it once, but I always told him, I said, if I yell at you to stop. And the second time, sure enough, there's a big old jab sticking up, and well, that would have like cut his testicles right off from that and stuff. So sometimes you got to slow Bill down because he's going to do anything. He'll get strapped to a wheel or jump through a broken glass window and all that stuff.
But we got the shot, man. That's a good shot.
That was a good shot too. That outside that window thing is epicness.
That's
I know it doesn't.
That's what I heard the most about is people talking about licking the window. Then Billy Pon told me to do that.
And that was all. Well, that's all you. You said, "Hey, can I do this?" I said, "Heck yeah!" And you go, "No, I didn't do nothing. I just showed up and took a nap. Is all I did." But I was going to tell. Now, unfortunately, we don't get the eyes. Like I was talking to that actor that plays Art the Clown on Terrifier, and he's a really good dude too. And before I even knew Bill, somewhere on Facebook, I stumbled across that guy, and he was always on my short list. But our computer crashed, and I lost his email and didn't think about nothing. And luckily, I went to Bill. But he's a big fan and saw the movie and loved what Bill did and all this kind of stuff. But we're talking about that. But like Terrifier, they hit the big time as well as an indie movie can do. And they're actually opening the door a lot now for Circus of the Dead, believe it or not. So sometimes other films open the door for somebody else. And luckily, that's what it's doing for those guys, the Terrifier, with Art the Clown getting so popular. And I like awesome, that because more people need to see what, Bill's doing. And it's like we didn't make the money back on Circus of the Dead, but I don't care. It wasn't my money. I just made a good movie.
Billy, I want to ask you, do you know the fellow who was impersonating Papa Corn at the convention? Because he was really good.
I think that was, I don't know him because I didn't go. That's when the cancer hit. Parrish knows him and kept in touch with him really good. He was good. He sent me pictures and videos and all that kind of stuff. And what's funny though, Bill, is I've met more female Papa Corn impersonators Then I've met 2 males and probably about 6 females that did popcorn at conventions.
You know, it's funny you say that because some of the earlier use of Popcorn has a feminine character. And I remember when I was doing it thinking Popcorn definitely is in touch with his feminine side, too, because he likes to preen himself and play with the little girl. It's funny that women like to do him. Wow.
Well, no, they want to do him.
Oh, yeah. Don't dance too close to that flame, baby. You might get burned.
Yeah. That's what's funny about this is it's like I never realized in life how many people were sexually attracted to clowns until I made this movie. And some of these messages and pictures and stuff I get via online and stuff, it just blows my mind.
Oh, man.
But I am married and I delete that stuff now, for the record.
Yeah, you better. I know exactly what you mean. When the first time that I looked a girl's face in the movies, I started getting these pictures from middle-aged women in various states of undress saying, boy, I wish that you would, do the same thing to
lick
me.
your face that way. You say, I don't know, it looks a little salty.
Hey, guys, jump in anytime you want because Pon and I will just talk.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, that's why I'm like on mute over here just listening to you guys because I just like how you guys are interacting. So it's all good too. I mean, this was the whole entire purpose. I mean, Bill, just to be fair with you, after we were planning your revisit here with us on the show, I was just like, I saw how you were interacting with Billy over here, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna message Billy and I'm gonna tell him, hey, look, we're gonna bring Bill Oberst back onto our podcast. You wanna in? And he's just like, just name the time and the place, and I'll be there. So I'm just like, all right. So
well, what I really said is, I said if I have to, I guess I will, but you need to put a check in the mail. That's what I said.
I like it.
To be honest.
So look, Paul, since you asked me what I would ask, since you asked me what I would ask Billy Pon, I want to ask you, Billy. You deal with fear a lot, man, a lot. In your movies scare people. They deal with people who are scared. I want to know your personal feelings about fear, experiences with fear. Where does that come from? Is fear something that we should be afraid of? We should not be afraid of? Is it a joke to you? I want to know what your relationship is with it.
Well, I couldn't answer this honestly until the cancer thing hit because it's like for the first time in my life I felt, in danger of my time running out. And I think that's the thing is Bill's a very religious man and my wife is religious and they're working on me. But to get a heathen like me to follow the line is tough. But it's that fear of death, Bill, is what I finally realized in my life. That's what makes me do what I do. Is when I was a kid and was scared to go into a haunted house or something as a little kid, my dad, if he saw any kind of fear in me, he'd make me do it. He didn't care. He'd make me do it by myself to make me overcome that stuff because he didn't want me to fear anything. And I think that constant thing of not being able to be afraid of anything, and I was always fearful of fear. That's why I got into the dark stuff. It's like, well, if you work in the haunted house, you wouldn't be scared to go through a haunted house kind of thing. And that's what happens with movies. And I think that's why I push the envelope is I'm so terrified of, dying. And it's not the point of me dying I'm not scared of. I guess is what I leave behind or not leave behind kind of thing, or put somebody else in upsetness and hurt somebody else, the wife or the family or, all my friends and stuff like that and fans and stuff. I'm just afraid of dying sometimes. And I think that's my biggest fear. And I don't know, I hope that answers that right. What do you want to leave behind? I want to leave behind a movie legacy where it's not judged necessarily on horror or any particular thing, just a good movie that just somebody gets, and somebody likes. It's like the way I feel about the original Chainsaw from 1974. It's just a movie that I get. And no matter how many times I watch it, I can't find anything wrong with it. And I haven't gotten nowhere near that. So it's just I got so much more work to do, and that's why I got to work harder. I just want to leave that legacy of something that lasts past me, that my name lives on through that, and maybe a future filmmaker will see, and then it inspires them to do that and then take it even further to pick up the mantle, so to speak, and go a little bit further. Yep.
Amazing. But yes, I'm so glad that you guys are talking away. I mean, it's good. I mean, I remember doing something like this similar last year when I brought two the writer and one of the actors and another actor from, if you guys heard of Lake Dead, we put those three together. And so just like this, they're chatting away with each other, having a good time. And it's just like, and at one point they're like, oh, wait a minute, we're supposed to all be here for an interview. Whoops. And I'm just like, dude, you kidding me? This is amazing. This is good. So don't worry.
Well, I need to ask Bill my question then. So here's my question, Bill, as I wrote them, is that out of everything in cinematic history, because I know you're an actor's actor kind of thing. You really dig that kind of thing. If there's one role in the history of cinema that you wish was yours, what role would that be?
Eric, in a version of Phantom of the Opera that sticks to the origin story of Eric from the book. In the book, nobody threw acid in his face. He wasn't deformed. He was born that way. And the whole point of the book is that Eric is a freak. And Eric was born a freak, and he was born a freak, but the world made him a monster. They did that shit to him, and so that the only version that ever did that was Chaney's, and even in Chaney's, they did a test version where that was explicit, showing him as a baby. They didn't show the baby in those days, but they showed the mother looking down and being horrified, and they cut it
right
because the test audiences couldn't deal with it. With the truth that we treat people who are different like monsters, and they become monsters, and then we say, oh, what happened? So for that reason, that role.
That's a good one. I dig that. And that's good to know, too, because we're going to work together again someday, too. So as much as I know about you like that would be what I need to be working on writing.
It's in the public domain, man.
Is it? See, I never knew that about that. I always thought he was made that way. I didn't ever know. Me and Reed.
He was in the Middle East. In the book, he was taken away from his mother, or she sold him, to a carnival in the Middle East, and then he ended up being trained to do magic because a deformed person doing magic was considered entertaining, so he ended up in these Persian kings' courts, and that's where he learned to do all of his tricks. Then he came to France, got a job working construction, building the opera house, and wanted to be in regular life. Like, he wanted to rejoin regular society, but people wouldn't let him. They kept messing with him. So he thought, all right, I'm going to build this underground lair then, and I'll be the monster that you say that I am. I'll become what you tell me I am.
Gotcha. And that's where the story is the monster's not really the monster. It's the other people. See, I did.
Look what Christine does to him. Christine totally takes advantage of him, man. She he says, you want to be a star? I can teach you to sing so well that you're going to have everything you ever wanted. And I only ask you one thing. Don't look at my face. What does she do? Boom.
Yeah.
I ask you one thing. That's it. And there you are behind me while I'm playing music, and you got to rip off the mask. Come on. And when Chaney does that, and then I'll stop talking about it, I promise. But I get passionate about it because Chaney throws her down, and he grabs her back of her head, really violent for 1925. And the title card that comes up is, feast your eyes, glut your soul on my accursed ugliness. This is what you wanted to see.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
When Universal calls and we get that, then we're going to be doing that one, Bill.
Awesome, man.
They're trying, but I heard that they bombed it with that Tom Cruise one I heard, and I think they backtracked and hadn't been doing anything else now on that Universal Monsters.
Yeah.
It's the too many cooks in the kitchen of the high part. They're not listening to the right people. They need to listen to the soldiers out doing the work.
Yeah, I fully agree. Because all the early Universal horror. I mean, Frankenstein and Dracula had literary roots, but the Wolfman was completely created by the screenwriter who had come over to escape Nazi Germany, and he just completely created all of this mythology that we now think is
It's fact. I thought it was too, yeah.
Even a man who's pure at heart, no, he made it up, and I think that's marvelous. You're right. It's the people out here doing the work that need to be consulted.
I think so too. They don't listen to us so much. It's hard to get a voice some days. Now, how much can you talk? I don't want to rob this interview from Paul and those guys, but what can you say about Three from Hell, though, Bill? That's what everybody wants to know.
I can tell you, Three from Hell will be completely brutal. Rob Zombie knows exactly. He's very impressive to watch because he knows his fan base. He knows what they want. He knows exactly what he wants each shot to be. He's a very quiet person, and he also has, I think, a very keen idea of his image, of who he is as a performer. Very, very sharp. The violence is, it's over the top. And, nobody will be disappointed by it, that's for sure.
Awesome. Did you have a good experience as far as certain actors that you haven't met before that you got to meet, and did you get along with them or learn something that you didn't learn from somebody or anything?
Yeah, it was great. I hadn't worked with Richard Brake before, and I'd worked with Mosley before. Mosley and I have done 2 movies since then together. I worked with Mosley's wife, who's also an actress, who was there in the scene. Danny Trejo was there, who I've met. I hadn't met Clint Howard, but he was real nice. And the food was fantastic, so it was a really good experience all around.
Now, I was going to ask, too, can you answer if you're a clown or not in this movie?
No, I'm not a clown.
Okay, good. I was just all worried. It's like, please don't take my clown, Rob Zombie.
No, I'm not. And I think that Rob has, now having completed this trilogy, I think I'm not talking out of school because I've heard this in some interviews, that he has some non-horror projects that he wants to pursue. And so that'll be interesting to see how people let him, to what degree they let him move out. Because, Billy, you're talking about doing things that aren't horror, and people lock you in,
Uh-huh. Well, they're so critical of him. That's what would be a question. If I had to ask him one question, because that's what hurts me, too, and not to put that out there for records, which sucks, but, I could get 3 million great reviews, but one little bad review will, just set my day in motion, and I'm, saying, gosh, I should have done this better and done this better and done this better. I was wondering how he handles with the criticism or something on that, or how do you handle it, Bill?
It bothers me, but it bothers me because if I feel like I've done something legitimately wrong and they're pointing it out, just like you just said, it bothers me because I think, I knew I should have done that. But if they just don't like the entire movie and the whole vibe of it, it doesn't bother me.
Right.
But then that would be different because you're the filmmaker and you created the whole vibe.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah, but I always try to leave a comment. And I'm fascinated when they'll be like, a movie like this, like several reviews, like this is artistic, this is really interesting, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody else will say, completely amateur, all the shots were really bad and all the acting's really bad. Like just a blanket, we hate it. And that always makes me wonder, did the person just have a bad day? I mean, sure, they can dislike the movie, but if you dislike everything in the movie, it kind of makes me wonder, are you just feeling negative today?
I see what you're saying. That's a good point. But now, what Bill doesn't understand is in Search of the Dead, I don't think I've ever read a review. I've seen some that said this is like the biggest piece of shit in the world. The only redeeming factor is Bill Oberst is popcorn. I've seen that one, 3 or 4 times where you're the only great thing about the movie. But most of them are pretty good. I think we're at from the reviews I read, I know we're at least at 90%, 95%. And compared to most indie movies, that's pretty darn good.
Well, I think that it's because all of our indie movies are online now, and they're instantly comparable to $20 million movies.
Yeah.
It puts us in a pool that we really should not be in. So people on Amazon can say, hey, I just watched, whatever superhero movie is, and this one's not as good. Well, it's a whole different thing, So we're not graded the way we used to be. Like if people bought a ticket to see Circus of the Dead back in the day and they went to the drive-in or the movie theater to see it,
yes,
man, they would be like they were with Chainsaw. I don't know how Texas Chainsaw would do today if it came out. I'm sure you'd have Amazon reviews that had, biggest waste of my time ever.
It was like that when it first came out, and it was considered like a porn movie when it came out. But in today's standards, it doesn't even show that much. It actually kind of leaves it to the imagination. But you're right on that Amazon thing, because I see reviews that say, it's bad about Circus of the Dead, but then it shows, you click on that reviewer and it shows other films they reviewed, and it's like Gidget Goes to Hollywood, or Andy Griffin. I'm going, well, no wonder they don't like it. What the hell are they watching it for? Well, they think it was good.
Yeah, I read one of them that said, I should have known watching a movie called Circus of the Dead that I wouldn't like it. And I was like, well, yes, yeah. You should have done like some basic research to say, what is this movie? Okay, this movie involves a necrophiliac clown. Well, is that the kind of thing I might get into? If not, don't watch it.
Because horror fans you look at even American Horror Story, you look at all the stuff, Walking Dead. That stuff's pushing the envelopes now. So it's like, this is what's happening is horror is moving forward. And it's like, I guess some people are still kind of conservative and dragging their feet about it. But, it's, to me, is like, I guess I'm all about non-censorship. I think you should be able to watch it. It's not real. It's not a real snuff film. It's not a real anything. It's a made-up pretend story, and there's dark stories out there that are real life, but we aren't showing actual footage from things like that. So I think people need to be a little bit more open-minded, I suppose.
I feel the same way. I don't know,
But somebody needs to come grab you up, Bill. I don't understand why you're not the lead on an HBO series or a Netflix series yet or something. Somebody needs to wake the hell up.
I don't want to be, man. I don't want to be. I like doing these creative, strange things. And if you get locked onto a TV show, you can't do that anymore because you get typecast as whatever the thing is. So I used to think, it would be great. But then I thought, you know what? I don't want to fit into somebody else's dream or help them accomplish their dream or play the character that they wrote forever and ever. I want to work with people who are passionate and say, I've got this brand new idea and I want to try it. That's exciting to me.
Awesome. Yeah. Because that typecast happens. I always wonder, like the Robert Englund or even the Bill Moseley, kind of thing. It's like, you want to come promote your new thing, but you're always typecast into something like that. I kind of hope that doesn't happen with the popcorn thing. Do you get tired of hearing about the popcorn thing? I'm sure you won't tell me if you do, but
no,
it's like, wouldn't that get old after a while?
No, I don't, because popcorn did not reach the public saturation level of a Freddy Krueger. If you had popcorn toys and stuff like that, that would be different. But it's a cool indie project, and so I love being associated with it.
Awesome. So you don't get mad every time and not refuse to sign things from popcorn? Because I heard like some actors won't sign certain things from certain things. Who is that? Peter Weller at RoboCop, I heard. Yeah.
Now, I will say that it's kind of weird if people online will like leave a comment, referring to me as popcorn. Because I can't really speak
talking to you as you are, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really speak in his voice or anything, and I'm just like, yeah. That was all Billy Pon.
Yeah, not to interrupt you guys too, because it's great that you guys are connecting like the way you are, but just to throw out the record, Billy, when we first interviewed Bill here, he mentioned Circus of the Dead to me and Tessa and I, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. So it kind of stuck in our mind, like, okay, we really need to see this film. So like,
that's when you reached out, and then what did I do in return? We said you some cool stuff, and that's how you make those fans one at a time. Just say, hey, give this a watch. Give them like a little postcard or something, and that's what this movie's getting out. That's what I believe. It's like grassroots when you're an indie filmmaker. You got to go out there and shake hands, be honest, be truthful, and just get the movie out there to one person at a time. And then they'll tell a couple people, and they'll tell a couple people, and hopefully someday, we'll get some bigger budgets to do some bigger projects.
You're right, Billy, and that's why people like you, is because you're authentic, and they can tell that what you see is exactly what you get. You're a guy who loves the genre. You're trying to make things that the fans will dig and keep making bigger and bigger things. And, people respond to that. I know they do with me, like what following I have, I think is just the same way you said, because you treat people straight up. and you treat them nice, and that's the way. Yeah, you make fans one at a time. In our end of the business, we can't afford to be distant.
Totally not at all. And you get out there and you hug everybody, take the pictures with them, and all that kind of stuff, and it works out in your favor. And then you get the actors to work for you that you need to get. I mean, even dealing with actors and stuff sometimes is hard too, but Bill is very approachable. I mean, I think our first communication was on Facebook, and I said, hey, I got a script that I think you might like. Would you like to read it? Surprisingly, he says, of course. So
of course.
that's where that started. No. Yeah. But then I think, though, too, is somebody like you, Bill, is like lightning in a bottle, too. I don't think that's hard to capture. And on the next one, that's what we're worried about, is that. I said, man, what if I don't capture that lightning in the bottle with somebody? So it's like, is it all downhill from here? So that's always in the back of my mind, is being scared, too, because Bill's lightning in the bottle. That's what I tell anybody. So when they call, they say, hey, you work with Bill. What kind of person is he? I said, you shouldn't even ask. You need to hire the guy right now. That's what I tell everybody. I said, don't even ask. Get going now, because that guy's going to work hard. He's a humble man. He's going to do what he's got to do to make it great, no matter what it is.
Well, you're nice, man. Thank you. I just want to please my customers, and it's because I come from a business family. My dad was in business, and so we were raised thinking about customers. So to me, my customer starts with the director, but my customer is also the cinematographer, every department on the film, and then ultimately the distributor, and then everybody who watches the film. So, and I'm always afraid I'm going to let somebody down. So, yeah.
And you do. I bet now, Bill. You can say no or say I'm lying, but I've always felt like Bill's like me, where he's just never happy with what he does, and he's got to do a better job next time out. Yeah, and that's the kind of people I like working with, that just are so hungry that they're never going to be complacent.
Never.
Being content is a bad word.
You do something that you think is good, but then within that something, you think, I could have done this better.
Way better. Yep. That's how I am too. But on my end, watching you, no, I've graded everybody, and you're the only one in the 90s. In cinematographers, the edit to makeup, to all the kind of stuff. Even myself, I graded myself at like a 72 on Circus.
Oh, I would put you up in the But I wish fans understood how much every department brings to a movie. Because like on Circus, the makeup artist, that makeup design that you and he came up with, it just made the movie, because all of your clowns were, I've seen a lot of clown horror movies with the clowns, with the big frizzy neon hair, but you did classic clowns, and they look like they could have walked out of another century, and I think that added to the creepiness. Well,
you know where that comes from, Bill, is when I opened up that Circus of the Dead haunted house, way before the movie ever come about, I was going to get protested here locally by this clown organization of these old women, right? This true story, Bill. I'm not making this up. And then I was calling and bluff, and all this kind of stuff. And then I got a call from somebody from CNN. And they said, hey, we understand they're going to have a thing. We want to come interview you for this thing. And I'm going, holy cow, this is going to be big. This is awesome. Well, long story short, somebody knew a friend of somebody, and they called off that because they said I'd get too much publicity out of it. And, people would come to my haunted house. But anyway, I met with the lady because they wanted us to meet, and we worked out our problems. And she said, you're not respecting the clown thing. And that's where I learned about the classic clowns and the no makeup above the lip kind of thing. And I did my research, is because I want it to be as real as possible. But if it wasn't for that, clown upheaval, I would have never dug into the deep, deep research of what a classic clown actually was and stuff, and do my research. And so, thanks to them, that's where the makeup comes from, that and Esau.
No makeup above the lip, right? That's interesting.
Yeah. And you see all these other clown movies, and they're, put it on above there and all that. It was some kind of written rule or something other she was telling me about. And sure enough, it was in the books.
Interesting. And you chose the cowls, too, which I really like that look.
Was looking for something different on that one. And I was afraid, too. It's like, I don't know, he's going to shave his head. And I knew Ryan was already going to be bald, because we already did that character in a fake trailer. And Jumbo was supposed to be a mini Noodle Dome. And, of course, Rusty's turned out, spectacular with the fake hair. And he was supposed to be like a burn victim with, like, those fake skin masks that people wear. He was supposed to be like that. And then we put it on him. His head was so big it ripped. So I go, oh, crap. I go, well, let's use Popcorn's extra cowl and cut this hair off of this old clown mask from a haunted house and Sure enough, I knew the cigarette was going to be there because that was always part of it. Because I already see my dad with a cigarette dangling as a kid, and that was always kind of seeing that. But they all played themselves. I mean, people always say, "Man, your clowns are so good," and I go, "They were the most. Those three actors were not actors, you know, and they went along Bill really well. So they all played good. Some of them I made just shut up and not talk. Rusty, I said my rule was never to get over 5 or 6 words. And I knew he'd be okay, and it worked out pretty good.
You know what my biggest regret on Circus of the Dead is? I put a dent in the hood of someone's
Roy.
either Jeep or an SUV.
No, it was Roy's van.
It was the scene. Yeah, guys who were watching, there was a scene in Circus of the Dead where Papa Corn is enjoying himself. In a non-obscene way, but he's really enjoying himself. And he's laying up on the hood of this SUV, and he's watching the other clowns take care of this guy on the top of a roof, and he's really enjoying it and getting excited. And I think I was too vigorous, and I put a dent in the hood.
And what you do in return is Roy had you sign his dash. I got a picture of that. I'll upload it with the podcast.
I did sign his dash, but I feel bad about.
No, that's his most prized possession. He tells everybody that. And since then, too, that van's beat to heck since then because now it's old. That was 2013, so I don't think he'll ever sell it because of that. At least he'll pull the dash out and hang it up. But it says, you wrote on there, thanks for not killing me, Roy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that this is all coming together as planned. No, I mean, it's good that you guys are connected, and I mean, that's, I think, one of the cool things that Tessa and I talked about doing is, like, you know, watching other people who are really good buddies, like you two are, and we started talking about how, well, maybe what we can do is start reuniting certain people who haven't talked or whatever in so long, that when they come onto the show and get that surprise moment like Bill did with Billy here being on. I mean, you know, we started to talk about that, and it was cool too because we did ask Billy if he wanted his own interview, and he's just like, "Nah, I'll wait till Bill's ready." So I give him props for that. But
well, it's not like even. I mean, I consider Bill a great friend and a brother, because when you make a movie with somebody, especially an indie movie, and I wasn't in war, and I ain't taking that away from the veterans or anything, but it's like being in a damn war. And these are people. I mean, that's what I said. The actors, and even I was telling somebody I was snaking the toilet one day up at our studio, and somebody goes, "You're doing that, and you're the director." I go, "Hey, this is an indie film, man. It's all hands on deck." So you got to do everything, but it's a war that you go through. And talking to Bill now, it's very good for me. But see, it's like we're almost like an old married couple. It's like I get mad when I see other movies come out with Bill, and I go, "Man, we should be doing something. We should be doing something." So it's like hard to share him. So it's like I'm talking about ex-wife.
I'm the same way because I hear like, "Oh, Billy Pon's doing this movie with Brad Potts." Like, what?
Yeah. Oh, you're going to be there. Me and Brad always said that. You know, where that come up is your fault anyway, because he said, I didn't know Brad either, just like I didn't know you, but, I only knew I could, go after a couple of stars or whatever, and, Brad fit the role of that one, but it was so short. Brad at the end of the set said, "Well, I'd really like to do a bigger part." And I go, "Well, let's do something." So that's what we started turning to this thing, and I picked his brain, and it's such a great script too. And Bill's, of course, you got an extra special part in there too that I think you're going to love, because I wrote it about you and your philosophy and the things that you like in life and stuff like that. So I think it'll be something that'll mean a lot to you. But we ain't done, Bill. I mean, unless one of us dies or something, we ain't done making magic. So we got to give the fans a part 2 someday.
I love it, man. And I'll tell you, you talked about everybody pitching in on indie film. I was just before Christmas out in the desert doing one with Dee Wallace. And Dee and I were walking around picking up water bottles while a PA was sitting there on her phone going Facebook, I guess. So we just walking around picking up water bottles. And I stuffed the trash down my foot, and Dee would bag it, and she asked, "Where does this go?" And I thought, this is indie film, because there's Dee Wallace walking around picking up water bottles.
Yeah.
as she said, quote unquote, she said they're not going to pick themselves up. I was like, that's indie film.
But that's the people you want to work with right there is what Bill's saying too. Because some people you do work with, no names mentioned or anything, they ain't going to do that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of people you look for, directors and movie makers. You look for those humble people that just want to be part of something special. And it's a team effort, total team effort.
And you hope that eventually the PA might look up from the phone and say, "Is this something I could be doing?"
Or somebody come whisper in the director's ear and you say, "Hey, would you get the fuck off your ass? Pick up these damn bottles. Bill Oberst and T. Walsh is picking up these damn bottles. Get your ass over there before I whip it, damn it." That's what a director does.
Yeah, that's right. I'll tell you what, Rob Zombie would do it. We were shooting a scene on Three from Hell, and he wanted a particular angle, and they were arguing about it. Not with him, but with one another for the best way to do it. And he was quiet, and he sat there, and then he just stood up and said in this real calm voice, but that cut through everything, he said, "Can we just stop bleeping arguing about it and shoot it? And I mean now." And instantly they just snapped into line.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'd killed to have been on that. You should have had me as, well, Billy's got to be here to comb my hair or something. I would have just loved to just be a fly on the wall because I want to see how the real guys do it. You know what I mean? That's what I'm always afraid I'm going to get put on a big set and not know what to do and freeze up.
I'll tell you that his continuity person is the best I've ever seen. She was in between every take. She was there with her notes, and she would adjust your collar or your belt, or because we're rolling around and tussling and things get. And she was resetting everything. I mean, immaculate. Every character, every take. And I said, "You are really on it." And she said, quote, "If I'm not, Rob will fire me," unquote.
There you go.
So There you go.
That's amazing.
Yeah, don't and guys, don't make any mistake. Billy Pon knew what he wanted on his movie too.
But I can't. It's hard to fire free people when you're Indian. You got these local people. These are just friends and family. But you know what though, Bill? When we had barbecues, or I remember seeing you in Parachute barbecue and chicken fried steak sandwiches, and I was like, let's hook these guys up with some food. And I hear Parrish will tell you, he said, "Well, that was one of the best shoots I've ever been on in my life."
Well, if you feed people, you're allowed to criticize them, right?
Yes.
If you've at least fed them, then you can say, "Okay, get your ass in gear."
It's just the point of wanting something special. That's the kind of people you want to work for. If it's the people in life, no matter what their job is, that just phones it in, I don't want those people. I want the people that are just hungry for something better, and try harder to get it.
Yeah,
and then at the end, when other people appreciate it and laugh and all that. I just did this special, Bill, when we screened it out at Texas Frightmare Weekend in 2014. I had Anthony shoot all this footage. And I hadn't done nothing with it. And I said, okay, I'm going to Frightmare this year. I'm going to make a special edition, Texas Frightmare Weekend edition, Circus of the Dead. And it's going to have all this behind-the-scenes stuff from 2014 screening. And it just reminded me, like Friday night we filled the room, but Saturday night was standing room only because people heard it from Friday night. And I was thinking, holy cow, so this did take off really big. But that's a whole nother story with distributors and all that kind of stuff. That could be a 4-hour show on its own. But Bill, I was going to ask you too, what do we got to do to get Rob Zombie to see Circus? Or if he saw Circus?
I do not know. I did mention the movie to him as we were riding his set, but when you see people, when they're working, they're only focused on their own project.
On their work. That's a good point. Yep. I would be too, yeah. So I was just always curious what he thought about that.
I'd like to know too.
I would too. Well, maybe I said you'll start hanging out. You might be his new buddy. He might steal you from me, and I'll be the bitter old wife, and just I remember the good old days.
Well, hey, Paul, do you guys have any questions for us? We're just yapping away, hogging the whole thing. Before we have to go, because I know I'll have to go in a few minutes because I got to get prettied up to do this Facebook Live event for the DIS.
Yeah, let's talk about DIS, Paul.
Yeah, we can talk about DIS real quick. And so DIS is coming back out. It's going to be coming out, I should say, by Unearthed Films on January 22nd. So, Bill, what can you tell us about this upcoming film that Billy here was already kind of asking you questions for? But what can you actually tell us about it?
Well, it's Latino based. The gentleman who filmed it named Adrian Corona. He wrote it and directed it. He's multi-language. He's multicultural. He lives on the border, and so it's infused with Latino culture and mystical beliefs. It gets into the legend of the Mandrake, but it's a strange film. It's a brutal film. It's an offensive film. It doesn't completely explain itself, and it's an artistic film. So for those reasons, I say that it's not for the casual viewer, for somebody who just thinks, oh, I like horror movies, much like Circus of the Dead. You need to know what it is when you're going into it, because it has moments in it that, just like Circus of the Dead, that are offensive and that are hardcore, but at the end of it, it leaves you with an impression that you won't forget. So that's what I can honestly say about it. And what we're going to do on Facebook Live today in a little while here is show a couple trailers and talk some behind the scenes and stuff like that.
Nice. I noticed when we were watching it too that there was hardly any dialogue, and what was nice about that too is that the film itself told the story without that dialogue overpowering the film. So, and also with these really interesting cult creatures, I should say, especially, I won't say too much, but especially near that ending there. And so my question also too is, in your own perspective, because I know how we opened up the door last time you were on with us, Bill, is with the paranormal and the supernatural and all that stuff. But like in this case, what are your thoughts on these type of weird, if I may say, like man dragon thing that we kind of keep seeing across the film? But what are your thoughts really on these really interesting creatures?
Well, it's it's a sort of a nature cult that believes that with the seed of a murderer buried in the right place, you can grow a mandrake, which has the body of a plant and the soul of a human. It's very ancient. One of the most ancient forms of beliefs is that nature and humans were somehow tied together. Now we just think, oh, it's a tree. I'll cut it down and I'll build a McDonald's. But people had a deeper connection with the soil. It's almost like thrusting your hand down, way down into the dirt, all the way to the elbow and feeling around in there. That's what it feels like to me, is that it's a return to the earth. And it's in one way, because of the stuff we're doing to the earth, we really raped it. I liked it. That's one of the things I liked about the script, was it wasn't set at any particular time period. And this guy was just out in nature, and he was interacting with the earth in ways that he wouldn't have chosen to. But, that's why I liked it, was because there was not much dialogue, and it was getting back to some of the more ancient beliefs that people had about how we might be connected to nature.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, they definitely used the old, I should say, well, I don't know if that would be the right wording, but the old ancient ritual type form, especially with what they needed for the plants per se, and
right.
And like, everything else that either you went through or the lady, like in the beginning, that went through, just to set it all up, it was just like what am I watching versus what is actually going on, to what are these type of creatures really. Like it's kind of sets off, like you said, it doesn't really say all of it of what this is, but it gives you enough to, in this case, talk about it, even after the film is done.
Right, and that's what I like. And again, Circus also had a lot of those kind of questions, because I've talked to people about, like, well, how do the clowns, how do they hide all of this from the circus? Where did they come from? How did they meet? How did they start working together? Have they been working together for a long time? All these things that the audience can just infer. You sort of just drop down right into the action, which I really like. I like a movie that leaves me with some questions, and this one does. It's short. It's less than 70 minutes. I think it's like 67, something like that. And that's a controversial thing in film, is, does my movie have to be 90 minutes? And I'm always Billy knows from dealing with distributors and can probably address this more as a filmmaker, but I know as an actor, I'm always saying, to me personally, no. And as a viewer, I don't care how long your movie is. Just tell the story and don't pad it. If it's 70 minutes, I'm happy if you've told me the story. I mean, Billy, do you feel that way?
Yeah, I totally agree too. I mean, our first cut of Circus was 220. Right, I got it down to 145 because of all the distributors and all that kind of stuff. And what's funny now is the fans now would like the longer cut, of course, because now they like it and think about it. But no, I thought this was, perfect. I didn't even think about the time length. I didn't know how long it was or how short it was. I just watched it and fell into the story and stuff like that. And that thing that happened to Bill and the woman at the first, I'm assuming that's the secret ingredient to Miracle Grow, is it not?
That's right. That's exactly right.
Yeah. I loved it though. It's like you said too, is it makes you think. That's a good movie. When it makes you think and you can't get it all, it's like gravy to your ribs. You can't get rid of it. That's a movie for me.
Yeah, because for me, Paul, cinema is a language, and we can do anything we want with it. Like it's a tongue that we speak as actors, filmmakers, creative people. We can make it sound any way we want. Yes, I mean there are rules. You can say, oh well, rom-coms do this and horror slashers do this, but why not just say, I don't care about your rules. This is my language, and I will speak my language, and you will listen. Man, that's the kind of movie I like. Is somebody talking to me in a language that I don't completely understand? God, I love that.
But it tells.
And it's like that movie disc. It's like, to me, it's got to be somewhat organic too. It's got to the movie's gonna, when you're writing, it should grow and tell you. When you're shooting, it should grow and tell you. When the actors, it's growing and tell. I mean, how much did you know about popcorn at the end compared to the first? I mean, everything in life to me grows. It has to grow, and that's what was cool about this, is that is really kind of makes sense. It's like things got to grow. It grows, it dies, it starts over again. And that's what's cool about it. But you should apply that to everything in life. We have to grow, or we're just going to be stagnant. What's the point of anything if we're just a bump on the log?
Right. And I'm going to head toward getting off because I got to get ready for this Facebook deal. But I want to say something I heard Pon say at the very beginning of this, which is about that is the fear of death. To me, it's also what motivates me. And not leaving something behind that matters. And I think that can be a positive, motivating force in the world. We ignore it in our culture a lot. We just do not talk about it. But it can be a positive force to say, my time on this earth is limited, and what can I do with that time? I'm getting ready to do a stage play as Ray Bradbury. And so Bradbury said, I'm not an optimist, I'm a behavioral. What he said, I'm an optimal behaviorist. I'm not an optimist. I'm an optimal behaviorist. He says, what can I do today before I go to sleep to move me towards some goal, something I'd like to do, no matter how small? What can I do so that tonight when I go to bed, I say, I did everything I could have done. If this is the last day, I've done everything I could have done. And it's a positive force, but you don't get that unless you're faced with mortality. You know what I'm saying? So I really respect Billy for saying that, because we don't talk about it in our culture.
Exactly.
And so, Bill, before you leave, I have a question for you. So, when you first got the role of Papa Corn, what was your first thoughts about it?
My first thought, did you ask?
Yes.
My first thought was completely wrong, was that, this will be played for laughs. That was my first thought. And I even wrote Billy an email saying something like, he should have a tattoo on his butt. It's like a smiley face or something like that, very flippant. And Billy responded and told me that the character is not at all a joke, that he's a homicidal maniac serial killer. And he just happens to have a day job as a clown. And so I was completely wrong about the character. And so from that point on, I said, I need to stick really close to Billy Pon and Lee Ankrum, because they created this character and they've known him for years in their haunted house. So I stuck really close and asked a lot of questions, which I think was the wise thing to do, because my initial thoughts were completely wrong.
Crazy. And real quick to Bill, going back to that new film that's coming out, this. So for the last thing that I could figure out for a question too is how would you detail the different? I'm assuming they were like segments, and do they somehow tie into the biblical quote that are also mentioned in the film?
Yeah, it's really funny you say that. The whole thing, this is one of the circles of hell in Dante's Inferno, which is a Christian novel about hell, very, very early from the Middle Ages, but it's supposedly one of the circles of hell. So, yeah, absolutely, it ties in with ideas of hell and what hell is. I don't think that the Christian interpretation of hell as it's generally seen is even a tenth of what it really is. I do believe that there is a hell, but a place where people burn and it hurts a lot doesn't seem nearly enough to me. It would be something more psychological and deeper, like the question in the movie Dis, and people understand it. If you watch it, you think you might like it. Check it out, and I question whether any of it ever happened, whether it's not all in the character's mind, which is another thing that I really like in a movie, is for me to go, wait, did that really even happen, or were they just imagining it? So, yeah.
Ooh, that's a good question. I didn't even think of that. So interesting. And Bill, real quick before you have to go too, because I know we kind of dove right into this, but it's fine. But if you wouldn't mind, real quick, Bill, is to give a small origin story of who you are, real quick, for people who may not have heard the first interview with us.
Yeah, I'm an actor, and I do stage and I do screen, and yeah, that's about it.
Let's just put it this way, everybody. He just does everything. That's why he's always busy. So getting the pleasure right now of talking with Bill Oberst is always a pleasure, and everything else. So he's such a great, humble dude, like Billy has already said. And I mean, he's really great. He's a good person. He's a good, amazing soul that, one day, hopefully we can all meet up and have a beer together or something.
I'd really like that. And I thank you guys for having me. And Billy, this was a real gift being able to talk to you, man. You're my brother. I love you, and we're going to work together again.
We will, buddy. I love you too.
All right, man. I'll talk to you guys.
Talk to you later, Bill. Have a good one.
Yeah, you take it easy, Bill.
All right, man. Thank you. Bye.
Sweet. So,
I'm
Billy,
sad now.
I mean,
I'm sad he's gone. It's funny because it's like I said to you guys, it was like I know it sounds like, weird and all, but I said it's just when you're on set, you go through war, and we haven't caught up for a while. You know what I mean? We get on the phone and we'll talk for 5 minutes or something, but, most of us are usually busy and stuff, so we haven't sit down to talk about stuff. But it makes me miss the guy. He's really that good of a dude and that good of an actor. I mean, it's just, anybody thinking about hiring him, hire the guy. He's just that good of a dude.
No, that's fine. Billy, I mean, real quick, do you want to keep chatting, or do you have something to do? I'm just wondering real quick.
Well, we got it. I'm going to it's my first time going to Altitude because we got a grandkid's birthday party.
Okay.
So I guess kids are going to jump around on a trampoline, and I'm going to smile and eat a piece of birthday cake.
Nice. Well, before you go, then.
Yes, sir. I got 10 or 15 minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Can I at least get a origin story of who you are for people that may not know who the hell you are?
Yeah, I'm a dude from Texas who started doing haunted houses when I was in elementary school because my mom was like a PTA president. While I was doing haunted houses, I started liking horror stuff. So then the VHS revolution came along, and I just started renting every horror movie I could, and just fell in love with movie making. And that's just what I knew I was wanting to do. So I do haunted houses to afford to do, horror movies every so often. And I don't put out as many as everybody else, but my one is usually better than 10 of the other ones. So that's what I'm trying to do, is to make the next movie. So.
Nice.
So, Billy, what's your inspiration for like making movies? Like, I know you just said that VHS
well,
is...
two of them. Of course, I'm older. I Star Wars as a 7-year-old at a drive-in, and you know, I said, wow, it's just the whole art of storytelling. And it's like, I guess I was always born with a good creativity. But then I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 74, like in the 80s, after I watched part 2 first, went backwards. And I love part 2, you know, it's campy and fun. But when I saw part 1, it did something else to me. It just made me want to tell this, you know, more realistic stories and stuff. And that's my inspiration, that and the original Halloween and stuff, for how to make a good movie. But mostly is I started working at a TV station in 98 down here in Odessa, Texas. And I only took that job so I could learn how to use cameras and learn how to, because I went to school for music, of all things. And, but I went to this TV station and started working and worked my way up, but I learned how to write, learn how to edit, you know, and meet with, people for possible commercials and stuff like that. So it's television is kind of like a mini film industry. And I think that showed that. And then I started seeing these indie films that people were putting out, and I said, hey, let's just make a short. So we took the camera that we're doing a commercial for, and we made a short called Doll Boy. And I wasn't even going to put it in a film festival because I didn't like it. And my friend talked me into it, and I put it in one film festival, and it got in. Then I put it in 2, and it got in. And then it just started blowing up after that. And that thing, I think up to date, is like 70, 75 film festivals it's been in. It's through its run. But I just saw other people's stuff. And not to sound better, I just can see what they did wrong. And I knew I wouldn't make those mistakes. So I just thought I could do a better job than most people are doing that's doing it. And I just wanted to throw my name into the ring. And somebody invited me to Frightmare. And I went out there with Doll Boy, and just the people that said, man, I really loved your movie Doll Boy. It kind of inspired me to just keep going and go further. And that's where I'm at now. I'm broke and I'm a filmmaker. So.
Man.
Yeah, when I watched Circus of the Dead, I enjoyed it so much that I watched it like 2 times.
That's awesome. You need to go see a psychiatrist. Now, did y'all see the original Doll Boy short that I did back in, I think it was 2008 or 2009? It's online. It's a 30-minute short, but it actually takes place right before Circus of the Dead.
I haven't seen it yet.
It's online. Y'all should totally check it out. And but I'm saying, if you're a Circus of the Dead fan, you'll see a lot of Easter eggs. We filmed Doll Boy first before we filmed Circus because we wanted to see if we could do it. But we used just a regular TV production camera and all that. For Circus, you know, we got a movie camera and all that kind of stuff. But it's worth the watch. I always tell just the diehard fans, because they'll get the Easter eggs. You'll recognize people in Circus that were in this one, and it starts answering some questions. I'm big on like the Tarantino thing, you know, like the Vegas. They mentioned them in other movies, and they always got the Red Apple cigarettes and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, I like little Easter eggs placed in movies, and Doll Boy's got some that goes to Circus and what Circus was about. Same thing with that beer store scene in Circus. The DEF CON beer banners, that's the name of my haunted house. It was like DEF CON, Ale of the Dead or something, and then like Light of the Dead or something. And that was back to the haunted house. And then there was some Jimi Hendrix kind of beer, and we just made all kinds of different stuff just to throw in some Easter eggs.
Nice. That's cool. And Billy, if I may say, how do you feel that your movie Circus of the Dead failed? Because I know you were kind of talking with me about it, but why do you think Circus of the Dead failed?
Or you mean like financially, or through visually, or like, you know, yeah, my execution of making
Like,
film?
I guess, let me rephrase this. Like, do you believe Circus of the Dead failed because of the fact that it didn't get the the publicity that it should have gotten?
Well, you know, I mean, should have I wouldn't say that, because nobody deserves shit in life. You got to make the things happen. I'm saying it's sometimes it's like the hit on the Death Star, you know. I mean, it's a shot in a million. Sometimes it's very tough, and it's like, I've met many of indie filmmakers that's got just great little films that I say, oh my God, this is so great. But if they don't have like certain star power or certain like this, these distributors don't want it. And we haven't even touched the base of most distributors being, you know, crooks. You know, and it's their fault for being crooks, but it's not their fault for the industry right now. It's so inundated with things now basically the hard copy sales are almost a thing of the past, the DVDs and stuff. I mean, it's really going to VOD and stuff. And now that it's VOD, it's getting bootleg like nobody's business. So, you know, it's here's what I'm saying is we spent, say, over 100,000 on Circus. We should have spent 100,000 also on promoting and publicity. We didn't. I was always the thing of saying, just make a good film and, you know, things will fall into place. And that's why I say I'm not going to say the movie failed, because I think it's one of those movies that people love so much that's going to be like Chainsaw Massacre. It's like I saw the original Chainsaw Massacre in 83 or something on VHS. You know what I mean? I wasn't around during. I was too young on that. So I'm saying I think it's one that just takes time. I think it's when it falls into the right hands, it does what it's supposed to do. And doing haunted houses, there's so many crappy haunted houses in the world. People come out and talk smack about them. Well, I always hang out at the back door at my haunted house just to be a bird on the wall or a fly on the wall. And I hear people saying what it is. It's like, if you can get above a 90% approval rating on something, you're doing really good. And I kind of feel like that's where Circus is at as far as with real horror fans. But some of the horror fans that think they're horror fans, they watch The Walking Dead, then they come to Circus of the Dead and they get freaked out pretty bad. So it's like, I just think there's a little break in that. I think real horror fans, love it. And I think mainstream just hadn't caught, they're not up to speed mentally or in their heart for it yet. But I don't think it's failed. It failed financially. We're selling it ourselves, but I will say this. I mean, we've made almost half of our budget back. And there's not a friend I know that went through a distributor that's made that much money on distribution deals and stuff. I mean, that's where the crookedness is in the business. Fortunately, like this, they're working with Unearthed Films, and that's Stephen Biro, and he's a good dude. When I first met him, I thought he was the most negative person in the world. And I said, what is this guy's freaking problem? I was sitting on a film panel with him at Days of the Dead in Chicago, and he was saying, some guy stood up to ask a question to the filmmakers. He goes, well, I was thinking about getting into filmmaking and making film. And Biro said, this is the owner of Unearthed Films, said, well, you need to change that because apparently you don't like money. You need to change what you want to do. So I was thinking, what is this? Because at the time, it was before Circus come out. I was just screening at these festivals. I thought a distributor was going to come and offer me $1 billion or something like that. Days like that don't exist anymore. And I don't want to get into too many of the numbers or something, but if we did get offered, $10,000 or $20,000 up front, I mean, all that stuff's got to come out on the back end. And here's the problem is on the back end, you have to go by with what they're saying. You understand what I'm saying? It's like, well, we had to pay for DVD processing and this and that. It's like you get nickel and dime where there's never, ever a profit on your end. And they may get on here, and if I was fighting with somebody that was a distributor, they may say, well, you don't understand, Billy, this stuff costs money, and there's not as much money to be made anymore, and this and that. And they might be right, too, but I can't speak from that, and I can only say from what I know. Before I went with any distributor, and the reason I didn't is I called friends or people that made films with these people and asked them how was their experience. And 9 out of 10 times it was bad. And I called over 2 dozen different directors and filmmakers to talk to them about this stuff before I signed with any company. And that's why I didn't sign. That's why it's self-released. But you get them pop up like Unearthed with Steven, and then you got Justin Seaman and Zane Hirschberger, who they did The Barn. Y'all remember The Barn?
Yeah, I saw it on Shudder.
Well, they run Screen Time Films. So I'm seeing a lot of indie people banding together and selling their own movies through a legitimate thing, because Steven's going to pay you for what sells, and those guys are going to screen. They're going to pay you for what sells. It's like, and all my indie filmmaking friends I notice have kind of going to these type of things because these distributors, out in BFE aren't. They're fabricating numbers on the back end.
Wow. And
yeah, you'd be surprised, guys. We turned down one deal because they wouldn't let go of the character rights. And, I was like, well, that's not even an issue. I'm not going to keep the character rights so I can make toys and stuff. And those are coming, so I will have some. I didn't tell Bill, but even like that penis, hopefully we're going to do a dildo for sale someday. So I don't so that, because you remember in the movie with the painted head and all, we're going to have one that's actually, you can buy in a box. So I'll save you guys one of those.
Oh, sweet.
That's awesome.
I can't wait. Hey, what is that? Don't worry about it. Just watch the film and then you'll understand.
Well, I just thought it would be funny too if they started carrying them to conventions and getting Bill to sign those.
That would be funny. That would be
he
funny.
may not think as highly of me after that. I don't know. But I like giving my friends hell, so that would be a good way to give them hell, I suppose.
Hey, you might as well. You might as well throw them what you got.
But no, all the toys and stuff, it's all into plan and merchandising and stuff. It's just there's a lot of red tape and stuff like that from investors and stuff like that. So I mean, it'll all change. And then of course the cancer threw a whole freaking monkey wrench into everything. I'm just trying to recoup my health just to get back to doing this stuff. But I got a lot of stuff on the horizon.
Yeah, my mother has cancer as well, so I know how it is.
It's a rough ass thing, man. It sucks. And I go up to that cancer center, and I notice that it doesn't discriminate with race or gender. It's like cancer does not give a shit.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, my father had cancer back when I was younger, and I mean, he did what he could. And I mean, it got to the point where we actually had to feed him through a tube to his stomach, kind of thing.
Right.
And then after that, like I was just telling on my other, well, kind of, the last interview that I did with Alex Merkin, who directed No Escape Room, which is, I'm going to say it again for those listening, this is not anywhere like similar to the Escape Room that is out in theaters right now. No Escape Room came out back in October 6th. So No Escape Room came out before the film Escape Room that is out in theaters as we speak right now. But the idea of this, though, is what I'm trying to say is, like, when my dad was going through the cancer, like, not only do you see him fighting, because he had brain cancer, and when he defeated it, the cancer took away part of his brain. So, and we're talking about a guy who served the country for Vietnam, and like came back, and like I said, told Alex, like, everybody knows how the soldiers were treated then. Like, they were pretty much treated like shit. And then, and then you get this guy like my dad who won and fought cancer, or you know what I'm trying to say, like battled cancer and won, but like it came with a cost, though, and that cost was that part of his brain that got destroyed from the cancer kind of made him not really himself anymore. And one thing I forgot to mention on Alex's podcast, which I later messaged him and told him, but just to throw it out here, is I remember my dad would have one of those moments where he would think he's back in Vietnam, and me and my sister would be like trying to eat cereal or whatever, and then he would grab us and yank us down away from the windows because he was afraid that the Vietnamese outside would see us. So it's scary. And I mean, for those that want to know more about this story, just go listen to Alex Merkin's interview that I did with him recently on No Escape Room. And I brutally came out with an old scary horror story back when I was little. So yeah. But Bill, So Billy, like, I give you props, and I mean, you're a strong dude, and you'll get through it. I know you will.
Well, I'll tell you this too: is people need to remember is it like your dad is. It just doesn't affect the person that has the cancer. It's the loved ones and stuff around them. It's you're affected, your family's affected, and everybody goes through it together, and it's a tough ass thing, And just to go through that is something you can't let go of. You went through it too, if you think about it, and it's something you'll never be able to let go to. So it's like my wife and friends and family and stuff that helped me along and stuff. I appreciate it because it's everybody, has to go through it with that, and that's what gets me through it.
Exactly. You just always got to have somebody there for you to talk with and whatever, because, without that, I'll say shoulder support, really, is like, you really don't know if you're going to be able to do it. But if you get that people that say, like, oh, hey, I'm going to help you get through it, then you're going to find that courage to be like, damn right I am. I'm going to get through this. So, yeah. But real quick, Billy, because I don't know how much more time you got, but are we able to ever probably see anything coming out from you in the future?
Well, yeah, I mean, unless I just drop dead. Cowboys from Hell should be next, but I'm gonna sneak in. I started this thing on Facebook. You might see is called Bloody TV, and because I'm Bloody Bill. But I'm starting to do shorts and stuff here and there. Or I might just start filming little talk shows or little things or whatever. It's just kind of I keep myself busy because the whole thing about getting cancer is I'm just going to keep myself busy. But the next feature will be Cowboys from Hell with Brad Potts, who was in Circus, and also Bill will be in there too. Paris Randall will be in there. Some of these guys I met in Circus become brothers.
And see that thing. What's really funny that you say that is that there's some people that I've interviewed, even as like you and Bill were just talking and me listening and stuff, and how you and I talk every now and then via text or whatever. I don't just look at you as a guy who directs films. I look at you as a friend because you know what? You're taking your time, your personal time to chat with me and everything else. And, I really hate hearing people that say, oh, yeah, I got this interview with this website. And, after the interview is done, they completely just log out and that's it. And, I'm like, fuck that. Because I'd rather even either before, after, during, or whatever, I want to talk with the people. Like, I want them to know, like, hey, I'm a serious person. I take everything serious. I tell everybody that everybody we meet here in the podcast is a friend of mine, and I hope that they think of us, like Tessa and I, as friends as well. Because like I said, like you're sacrificing your time to talk with us, and we're right now really a nobody. I mean, our podcast is almost 2 years old, but I mean, it's still the fact that you guys accepted the fact to come talk with us.
Yeah, and that's why I think me and Bill work so good together. We're a lot alike. Now we look nothing alike, but he's in shape, and I'm like, we look like big. You ever seen Smokey and the Bandit?
Oh my God!
We look like Big Enos and Little Enos. Maybe we should dress up like that at a convention sometime.
Well, I'm not. I would say I'm not really in shape either per se, but I mean, I do what I can. But Tristan, do you have anything to ask Billy real quick, or is there anything at all?
No, not really. I just hope further down the road I can get to know Billy as much as you do, Paul. And I really enjoyed just hearing Bill and Billy just talk back and forth. I really enjoyed that. I was in my
like
glory.
An old married couple, weren't we? Reliving the good old days.
That's why I was halfway muted. Was I just enjoyed just you guys talking back and forth because I was in my glory. I'm like, wow, I just watched Circus of the Dead like not that long ago, and now I'm listening to the director and the actor. It's like mind blowing.
Dream come true. Yeah.
Well, what blow your mind is what Bill was on screen as popcorn and what Bill is in real life couldn't be further from apart.
Yeah.
Because once we yelled action, that dude don't until it says cut, he's popcorn, man, and it's frightening. I mean, being next to him when he's acting and stuff, it's very frightening and stuff. But if you get to meet him outside of that, when we're sitting around the craft table eating food or something, I mean, or him drinking coffee or something, it's a cool thing. We had a barbecue. We had one day off that we got scheduled because somebody couldn't fly in or something. So the whole cast and crew had this huge barbecue. And I remember Bill was there too, and Paris Randall, he's a good dude too. Y'all should talk to him sometime. He was doing disco dancing with the girls or something, and I don't think I ever laughed that hard in my life or something. So it's like, that you become a family on these film shoots, or at least good ones you do. I haven't had a bad one yet, but I'll make sure on my watch, at least my movies, they won't be bad experiences, because we just need to have a good experience and have a good time and make a great movie.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. But yeah,
but Tristan, you need to watch Doll Boy. Go back and watch Doll Boy.
Yeah, I definitely will.
Yeah, Tristan, if you go to the podcast website, search Dollboy or Circus of the Dead, you'll see my review, and I actually posted that
That's
Dollboy
right. Yeah.
short because
Okay, I'll definitely look it up.
well, Billy had it public, so I just put the video onto the article for people to watch since it was already public. So, yeah, it was nice. I enjoyed it.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying, guys. Back on that one last thing before I leave you guys is the distribution thing. Don't think I'm not some bitter, cranky old lady that says, I'm not a millionaire. I don't. At the end of the day, I don't care about the money. I got these stupid medical bills and stuff like that. I don't make film for money. If it happens and I can get it's the bigger budgets. The reason I want those is I can get more eyes on them. That's my goal, is to entertain more people. That's what I want to do, and I want to tell these stories, that I have. And it's not a bitterness. It's just that indie people don't get a lot of respect because there's a lot of trash and garbage out there. So it's hard to get them to open their eyes up. If they've seen so many bad stuff before, they're scared to take another ride. It's gonna be another lemon. I don't want to watch it. Like I saw the escape room at the theater, but just now finding out about no escape room. And that guy, when I did Circus of the Dead, before I could get it out, 31 come out, even though I did Circus of the Dead 3 years before. People go, oh, here's another ripoff of 31. I'm like, I did this 3 years before you guys. They did that one. So, it's like, it's just the luck of the draw sometimes on that stuff. But I'm not a bitter filmmaker. I just want more eyes. I'm just saying, watch it. If it sucks, tell me, or watch it. And if you like it, then tell me. I just want more people to watch it is all.
Exactly.
Well, I'll definitely put your name out there, Billy.
Yeah.
Thank you. But not on the sex offender websites, please.
And like Billy said before, if you watch it, make sure you get checked out afterwards, especially with a therapist.
There you go. Wash up in the naughty places.
Yeah. Yeah. Make sure you scrub 3 times.
Yes.
So, Billy, real quick, since you kind of brought up something about the whole indie thing, just real quick, but what are your thoughts about the whole Amazon battle that's going on, where Amazon is pulling indie films off?
Well, I don't know. I knew about the Cherokee Creek early on because the Fits of Horror, Brian. That dude's a good champion of indie guys. I think I knew him before you guys. I've known him, I guess, a couple years. But he pushes for the indie guy. So I don't know much about what's happening, but I think you posted it yesterday, and I noticed that where they are getting pulled. I haven't seen that yet. I'm trying to get mine on Prime, and now I got a feeling it won't be. Now, I got on Amazon a couple years ago, and I went through an aggregator called Distributor, and they help you get on that, and you pay a small fee, and then they get you on these platforms. I wrote them recently to see if I could get on Prime, and I haven't heard back yet, so that's still to be continued with me. But it's just, that's what there is. There's just so much stuff out there that they're trying to pick and choose what they want to do. It's the indie people, I guess they don't see any value in that or something, but I beg to differ because like that Terrifier, man, blew up, Damien Leone's film. I mean, that thing blew up, and rightfully so. It's good. They go, "Are you bitter and jealous?" I go, well, "I'm not bitter and jealous. I don't think it knocks us out of the water or nothing. I just think we're a different kind of clown film." But I did love that and what it represents and all that kind of stuff. It's one of my favorite films from the past couple of years, for sure.
Yeah, I still gotta watch it, but I mean, from what I've seen, yeah, your Circus of the Dead and Terrifier are definitely 2 different films for sure.
Right, but it says, well, there's a clown. It must be the same. It's like, no, people. That's what it said. That's where the problem is. There's been so many indie crappy clown movies that they just want to throw everything into the lump. And then when something special like Terrifier comes out, and stands out, that's what it gets people to take notice. And luckily, they're coming our way. But it's like Bill said. It's like he come in wanting to maybe play a funny ha-ha clown. I was like, no. This dude is serious. If you remember in the movie when he's backstage talking to Parrish, he's in character. And then he breaks it. But, man, I'm just yanking your chain. It's like, that's what I say is you being a clown, they're paying for a service and you're doing your job. But when you're doing what you want to do, you don't give a shit about human nature. You're not about fun and laughs. You're about getting your will. And Popcorn come up with me and Lee is where we're talking is, it's what have we acted on our dark impulses, all of us, because we all have dark impulses, man, female, or whatever. If we did what we want when we want, we would be Popcorn.
Oh, I highly agree. But okay,
and what was Parrish? Parrish was he was a zombie in his own marriage. He wasn't paying attention to nobody or giving them, the care or appreciating things. I mean, it wasn't his fault. He shouldn't have had what happened to him, nor did his wife for cheating on him. But it's like that's what happens in America. It's like it's like the yin and yang of man is what Parrish or Donald the Clown and Popcorn the Clown. That's what that was about. It's like yin and yang. It's like, which one would you rather be?
That's true.
Which one's free?
That's true.
Yeah, but anyway, deep stuff for a silly clown film.
Well, all right, Billy. Before you go, though, for people that can possibly watch Circus of the Dead, where can we find or buy or everything Circus of the Dead? Where can we even find you to keep up to date with everything? So this is like an open platform.
Yeah. Find me on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, usually under Bloody Bill. You'll find me or find somebody. Circus of the Dead's on there too. You can buy a hard copy of the movie, a DVD or a Blu-ray at circusofthedeadmovie.com. And it's also on VOD on Amazon, iTunes, Vudu, and Google Play. Or you can bootleg it or torrent it or even watch it from a pirate site. I don't care. Just watch it and like it and love it. Just remember to watch past credits.
And there you have it, folks. So, yeah, Billy, thank you so much for joining. I know that you and Bill were having a grand old time. Like Tristan already said, like what Tristan said. We were just on mute listening to you guys chat, and I mean, it was great. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you guys answered.
We just hope we didn't, bore anybody. It was good to catch up with them. I can't wait to catch up with them in person someday again.
No, you didn't bore me at all. I enjoyed your guys' conversation.
Oh, yeah. It was just like, oh, he already said this. Oh, he said this. Like, I'm going down my questions. Like, okay. And then you start talking about the upcoming film, and I'm just like, okay. Like, I think we covered it all.
It's a loose set, too. It's like I wanted to be more like I am. Bill knows this, too. I'm a cut-up, man. You know what I mean? Even on set or something, they're getting, like, Parrish was chained to that chair in that one scene, and he didn't want to go on. He goes, you guys leave me chained up in here. I'm going to build up my tears and work on, this. And we're taking a 15-minute break. He wanted to stay chained to that chair. So we all walk out. And then I thought, well, hell, I got to fart. So I went back in there and farted in the dude's face when he's in there. And he's crying because he's working these tears up. And he takes himself to a dark place. And then here's this a-hole director coming in there farting in his face. And then he starts yelling and screaming at me and stuff like that. It's like, that's what kind of set. We had a good time, too. It was a lot of hard work, but I think it was good because we all had a good time and just, we're a bunch of, it's like we're all in high school having a good time.
And that's the way it should be. Even when we do interviews here, we try to make it have fun. We don't try to make it like a scripted thing because you know what? Scripted shit just doesn't sound real. It needs to flow and feel natural. But yes, Billy, thank you so much for joining. Tristan, thank you for coming on, which I guess, you're just like me. I had to be on mute, just listening to Billy and Bill talk and just catch up and ask themselves questions, which is good. I mean, it's cool. I mean, I love doing this. Like I told Bill, I mean, Tessa and I were talking about how we could really make a unique way of doing interviews, and we were just like, well, what if we take people that haven't chatted in forever and put them in the same exact episode with us? And then there you go. So on that,
hold on, baby.
Yeah,
I got my wife in here. We got to go to that birthday party. I better get out of here, you guys.
Yeah, well, Billy, thank you so much again for your time as always. And like I usually tell Bill too, but he had to run out the door to get ready. But Bill, you're more than welcome to jump in any conversation we have and to come back to talk about your future film or just to speak your mind about anything, really.
I appreciate it so much, guys. Yeah, you always stay in touch and stuff.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We'll keep in touch.
All right, guys. I'll talk to y'all later. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thank you, Billy.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
You too. See you guys. Much love from Texas.
And as always, guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Tristan, once again for your help. Even though, we kind of kept saying is that we're on mute, listening to them, which was fun because you know what, it worked out in the end. I think. So, what did you think, Tristan?
Definitely.
Tristan, what did you think of it? What did you think of this?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, hearing both of them just talk back and forth is just amazing. You know, we've seen Circus of the Dead, and now they finally connect after years of making that movie, and now we're just mind blown.
Oh yeah, it's always awesome, and you know I'm really glad Bill Oberst didn't catch on to the surprise that I did, because I really wanted it to be a surprise, and you know what, it went just as I wanted it to. And, you know, they're both great people. It just sucked that Bill couldn't really talk too much more because he had to get ready for Facebook Live to help promote that new film that Billy and I kind of talked about, which is called Dis, which is available today as this episode goes live. Dis, which is DIS, it is a film released by Unearthed Films. And, you know, it's going to take you down a dark ride, and it's going to just make you wonder about everything, really, about this Mandrake legend. And within that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this interesting episode of pretty much Billy talking to Bill, and Bill answering questions, and Bill talking to Billy, and Billy answering questions. So I really hope you enjoy. And as always, guys, stay scary.